All right. Everybody, we recorded, so don't say anything that you don't want to go out in public. I will turn the recording portion off at the end for Q&A, just in case anybody has anything personal to share. But hi, everybody. My name is Taylor Walker, and I am the program director or the program director of programs and community engagement for NAMI Sarasota and Manatee County. For those of you who are not familiar with NAMI, we are the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are the nation's largest grassroots organization dedicated to serving families and individuals who are experiencing mental health challenges. And we do that through support groups, education classes, resources, and advocacy. And I'm very excited. It seems as though most of you guys are familiar with Kat, but today she is going to be sharing on self-sabotage and how it is a form of self-protection. And I was really excited when Kat brought this topic up because I feel like it's something that I find myself doing in conversations with my friends. I feel like sometimes I find them doing it as well. So I'm really excited to have you here today, Kat.
I'm, as always, so excited. I could end the sentence there, but I will add to be here because I'm always very, very grateful and blessed to be where I am in my story today. So I love that I have had the ability to heal so I can go out and help others do the same. So thank you for inviting me into your homes, to your lives, wherever you happen to be this evening. And I'm going to run the webinar a little bit differently for my previous ones. So for anyone who's been in my groups in the community, you will know that my street name is Flip Chart. Flip Chart. So I've decided to introduce my flip chart to the webinars, which I don't usually do, but I think you should all just get a piece of the experience. And so here she is. She's come a long way, I have to say. Nancy, who's on here, used to be program director at the jail, and she knew me back in the days when I used to handwrite them with markers and all of that. And it started because there was no AV equipment in the jail, and I figured out how to bring my group in, and well, now here it is. So I'm not the best eco warrior ever, but it gets the job done. So, everything I do is coming from a trauma perspective. It's coming from a trauma lens. So everything we do as humans always makes sense, even if it seems ineffective or reckless or destructive or going against what we think is a great idea. It's always protective in some way. And so rather than looking at it as if there's something wrong with us as a human being, the question is really, what's the rest of the story? What happened? How has this behavior served you? And it always has in some way. So this is one of my favorite topics because from a trauma perspective, it's not a thing. So I understand that it can look like it, but I want to help unpack it and reframe it because let me just explain what your nervous system is. So I am a somatic therapist, which basically means that I work based on how your nervous system works. So your nervous system is your brain and all beautiful parts of it, but it's your security system for your body. So it's all the nerves that are connected to your brain that go all through your body. So it's the command center for your life. Your nervous system is responsible for your blinking, your blushing, how your heart beats, how your lungs breathe, your balance, your sleep, your wound healing, your responses, whether you are calm, whether you shut down. It's responsible for pretty much everything. So that being said, self-sabotage, it's not really sabotage. It's protection, but it's dressed up as destruction. So it's your nervous system, it's your body doing what it's always done because the only thing your nervous system cares about is keeping you alive. It doesn't care if you're happy or productive or successful. It only cares if you're alive. So it's going to do this even if it costs you everything you want. This is not laziness. This is not weakness. This is not destruction. This is not you being dramatic. This is not you being chronically incapable or weak or any of that. This is not you ruining things or blowing your life up because you don't want them. What's happening is your nervous system is doing its best to protect you from exactly what it learned to fear, especially when the fear is the thing you say you want. Does that make sense? Always ask questions, please. I talk a lot, I talk fast, and everything is welcome. There's nothing off topic. If it's within you, it's welcome here. So, I have not met anyone who woke up and was like, how can I blow my life up today? In what extraordinary way can I completely screw things up? That's not usually what happens. So, what we're calling self-sabotage, it's your nervous system pulling the emergency brake as soon as something feels unfamiliar, new, intense, exposed. And this is true for the positive stuff too. This is true for the love you really want, the success, the peace, the opportunity, being seen, being known for who you authentically are. It's not usually the chaos that scares trauma survivors. It's what happens when the chaos stops. So, if your nervous system, your body is wired by betrayal, neglect, instability, unpredictability, violence, lack of care, lack of safety, well, safety is going to feel like a setup. Stillness is going to feel like a setup. So, your calm feels like the kind of calm you get before the storm. You're like, it's really calm here, but I know what's coming and it ain't going to be good. So you don't lean into whatever it is, you do the opposite. You run, you blow it up, right? You fight, you binge, you procrastinate, you relapse, you ghost someone, you scroll, you do whatever it is to prevent you from taking the next step. This isn't because you're broken. This is because you are brilliantly adaptive. And this is how you stayed alive. The problem is the exact same patterns that kept you alive, well, now they're choking you. And so you can know your patterns suck, but at least you know what to expect. So you stay in them because they're what you know how to do. You don't necessarily want to be doing them. You're not even necessarily choosing them, but you're staying in them because they're what you know. That's how powerful familiar is. So your nervous system is doing exactly what it was trained to do. Keep you away from pain. But the problem is, if you stay away from pain, that means you stay away from joy too. You don't get to choose which emotions come up. So if you push one away, you push them all away. Your nervous system doesn't care about your goals, doesn't care about your 5-year plan, it doesn't care. It cares about not dying today. It cares about your safety. And it doesn't define safety by logic, by locked doors, by no threat right now. It defines safety by what's familiar. So if familiar for you is chaos, rejection, unpredictability, drama, not getting your needs met growing up, guess what? This is now registered as safety. This is home for you. Ooh, where's the drama? What do I do? How do I go? How do I keep going? What do I make sure this got to keep going? Because as soon as that stops, oh, I don't like it. It's too still. It's too quiet. There's too many emotions coming up, and I can't deal with this. I gotta. So that peace that you really say you want, it feels like a threat. That love you're desperate for, that makes you flinch. So this consistency, this calm, this boring, this still, it feels like you're walking into a trap. The same can be true with joy or peace or love or any of that. The word sabotage is basically when you create the opposite outcome from what you want. Right? So here's why it doesn't belong in trauma healing. Because the term itself, the language, implies that you're actively choosing destruction, which is not the case. Your nervous system doesn't choose. It acts more quickly than you can think. So if there were a door slamming, you would automatically respond to that. So your brain can know that you're safe here and it's 2025 and you're not in any danger and that door was someone coming through the restaurant and it's fine. But your nervous system reacts how it's always reacted instinctively. Oh my God, I got to make sure you're okay. Are you okay? Are you okay? Is there a threat? Is there a threat? Is someone coming in? Is that's how that works. This is trauma is stored in your body, and your body always keeps the receipts. So it holds on to whatever your brain had to forget. So this is why, I don't know, if you're grieving someone you lost and it was 20 years ago, that pain can feel exactly the same as if you had lost them yesterday. There is no calendar or clock in your nervous system that tells time the way we do out here. It's not the same. So that's why, just let it go or move on or let go or be dragged doesn't necessarily work if the body doesn't feel safe enough to be in a space for that release. It doesn't work on anybody else's timelines or because you should. It works on survival time. So the term implies that you're the villain in your life story. But that can't possibly be true because you are you and you are beautiful and wonderful and created beautifully. So you cannot possibly be the villain. So, what looks to the outside world like sabotage, that's survival. That is a very, very, very deeply wired response that came from years and years and years of learning that. That's your lived experience. So, that's what you know how to do. This is your body remembering, this is how I can protect you. This is the only way I know how to protect you. So, whatever the threat that you sense doesn't have to be real, it doesn't have to be actual, it just has to be felt. Being safe and feeling safe are not the same thing. You can know you're safe, but if you don't feel that way, it really doesn't matter how safe you know you are. It's a felt sense. It's the same as how you know who your humans are. You know how you feel when you're around certain people. You know how you feel when you're around other people. It's not because of their personality. They could be the nicest person in the world. They're just not your person. Because you know that when you're with them, your shoulders drop down from your ears, your jaw loosens, your fists don't clench. You're not wondering if you said something wrong or did something wrong, or they're mad at you, or they're going to leave you, or they're not going to love you, or you're exhausted after you see them, or you dread before you, all of that. That's a felt sense of safety. Your environment. If you're at a job that is sucking the life out of you and you're showing up there every day and you're doing your best to adjust to dysfunction, and then you're trying to go home and heal and then returning to an environment that is slowly killing you, right? This is how we work to create safety. We find people around us and environments around us where we can breathe without bracing for impact. So your body, again, it doesn't really care if it's 2012 or this morning. It's going to react now like it reacted then, instinctively, until there's an alignment and you have gently learned to rewire those pathways. And when we use the language of sabotage, it activates shame, and shame will only deepen the pattern. And here's the thing about shame, it's probably the most private emotion we have because there's no facial expression for it. We can usually tell if somebody's sad or happy or angry or whatever. But if someone is feeling shame, we can't always read it. Which means if we ask someone what's wrong and they don't feel safe enough to share it, we don't know how to help because it's not an expression that comes out. So the idea is to recognize that what you're doing is protecting, not destroying. And when you're able to clarify that, then you give yourself a chance to pause, take a step back, and rewire. And the way we rewire, I don't care how much insight you have into your stuff. I don't care how many worksheets you've done and how many books you've done and how much. If you don't take all of your insight and pair it with new action that is different, that is slightly uncomfortable, that is a tiny, tiny bit outside your comfort zone, you will not rewire and nothing will change. No, but I know I shouldn't be doing this. That's great, but I keep doing it. Right. Because your words have no action. They have no feet. Okay. So here's how it shows up. This is how I have seen it in my experience, in my work. You avoid the thing you want so much, right? Let's say you get offered a job interview. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I got this job interview. I'm so excited. I think I'd be really good at this job. And I think there's really room for growth and I could have a career and it's a lot of money and it's going to be amazing. Oh, wait a second. I'm not going to get this job. Are you kidding me? With my record, that's not going to happen. No, I mean, I can't read very well. I'm probably not going to get along with the other people there. As soon as they find out what I've done, they're not going to hire me anyway. So I'm not even. So you don't respond. You don't prep for the interview. You forget that it's I'm not going to get it anyway. What's the point of even doing this? Okay. So what is underneath that is fear of success, fear of failure, fear of being seen for your most authentic self, because then they're going to prove that you're worthless and you already know that. So you don't need anyone else to do that. And so your nervous system comes up and it's like, hey, Kelly, hey, Carrie, if we don't show up, we can't get hurt. Because remember last time we showed up and we got our heart broken and we got our ass kicked and it was terrible and we got rejected and we got left and it was so bad. So don't show up because then you can't fail. And you're already such a piece of crap and you already fail at everything. And when you fail, you get in trouble. When you make a mistake, you get in trouble and you get punished and nobody talks to you and then they hate you and they leave you. So don't do it. This is how we keep you safe. Okay. Yeah. We see this in relationships where we push love away. You meet somebody, and this person is emotionally available and kind and consistent and gentle and safe. Wait a minute. What are you doing? What's going on? Why are you? Mm-mm. Oh my God, you're so boring. This is so boring. Are you hiding something? Are you lying? Are you cheating? I don't think you're really where you said you were. Why aren't you? No, something's going on. So you start fights, you start criticizing them, you leave, you run. You're like, this is not working. This is never going to work. This is no, because as soon as there's one imperfection or one small conflict, or they show you that, they're a human being. Nope. Underneath that, consistency feels like a trap. When you've been taught, oh, love is pain, love hurts, and you grew up in an environment where you had no idea what you were going to get from a parent or a primary caregiver. You were there tiptoeing around, walking on eggshells. Oh my God, mom was really mad yesterday and she's not mad today, but she might be mad later. And I spilled something on the rug and I can't tell them because then I'm going to get beaten and this is not going to be good for me. So I have to make sure I'm perfect and I don't make her mad because she told me I make her mad and I'm responsible when I make her mad. So that's the beginning of codependency because this little kid now learns that kid has made their parent mad. Not that their parent is responsible for their own emotions. Nope. Because a little kid has no logic. They only have emotion. So if something bad happens to a kid, they think it's their fault. Well, if I'm responsible for mom's emotions and not making her mad, I must be responsible for other people's emotions too. So I can't have any emotions because there's no room and I can't have needs. And okay, so how do I have to give myself away to make sure everybody else is happy because that's how I stay safe and that's how I stay connected to other people. Okay. So consistency now feels like a trap. Makes sense. You make perfect sense. You all make perfect sense because then your nervous system comes in and it's like, hey, if we blow it up first, we're not going to get blindsided. We're not going to get hurt. We're not going to get rejected. We're not going to get left. We're not going to get the silent treatment. There's not going to be any violence or danger. So get out quick before somebody else can hurt you again. Perfect sense. You always make perfect sense. I'm so sorry that you feel like you don't, that you've been told that you don't when you absolutely do. I see this in the community when people struggle with a relapse after they were doing so well. Nobody saw that coming. I don't understand. She just like fell off the map and what the heck happened? Okay, if that's your answer, then you weren't paying attention. So you have a job, you're living in a halfway house, you're reconnecting with your family. Maybe you move out of the halfway house and you move into a place of your own. Things are relatively stable. Life is lifing. You're like, oh, okay, this is, wait a minute. Uh-uh. Nope, nope, nope. This is way too much. Nope. And you go back to what you know. Not because you're not healing, not because you're weak, not because you don't care, but because it is too much and you do not feel safe enough. There is too much visibility. There is too much change with having no idea how to process the emotions that come with the change. It's not usually the change, it's what comes with it, which are all those emotions that you never learned how to process. So now you're like, oh my God, it's so much. It's just like too much. There's too much joy. There's too much goodness. There's too much fellowship. There's too much, oh my God, it's so much. It's so much. And I don't know anything else to do. Well, we know what to do. We know what to do. Just get high. Just have a drink. It'll calm you right down. It'll just be that just one time. It'll be fine. And then you'll regroup. This new life is foreign for you. And processing emotions is a skill. You must be taught how to do it. You're not born knowing how to do it any more than you're born knowing how to calm down. The way we learn to calm ourselves is because somebody calmed us. So we learn then as a kid, if you're having a hard time, if you're struggling, if there's discomfort, and parent comes over and says, wow, hey, this sounds like you're having a lot of big emotions. Can I walk through them with you? Whatever the language is, whatever the gentle touch and the tone is. So that kid learns, oh, I'm going to have a hard time sometimes, but I also know that comes with comfort and connection. So I can move through this. It's okay if I'm having a hard time. But if that wasn't there, and you didn't, the only way a kid learns to process emotions is if they were allowed to have them growing up. So if you grew up in an environment where you weren't allowed to feel anger or hurt or sadness or ask questions or be confused or learn differently or even be enthusiastic or creative or whatever, you're not going to know what to do with that now. So you were set up for survival. Right? Most little kids are building forts and playhouses, and they're learning peer negotiation, and they're learning how to navigate life and relationships. You know what kid survivors are building? Defenses. So what we are labeling good feelings, which are feelings, there's no moral value on feelings, they're feelings. We don't tell you not to feel happy. We do when you're sad or angry. So, but those good feelings, they can be just as dysregulating, as confusing, as hard ones when you're not used to safety. So the nervous system isn't recognizing peace or calm as something good. It's like, this is suspicious. This is suspicious. When's the next shoe going to drop? Well, oh, when's this going to get taken away? This is no, what do I have to do for this? Why is this? No, 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 no. If you're raised in chaos, you are triggered by peace. And so much of trauma is what we didn't get when we needed it most: consistency, safety, affection, connection. It can be just a chronic disruption of connection. You had to move houses a lot. You had parents that were at war with each other. There was neglect, there was financial insecurity, there was food insecurity. Trauma isn't what happened to you. It's how it shows up in your life today. You don't remember trauma, you relive it. Right? If you're driving down the road and there's a song that comes on and you haven't heard this song in like 3 years and you're like, oh my God, I remember exactly where I was when this song came on and it was not a good time for me and I was living on the street and I was homeless and I was using drugs and no, change the song, change the song. That's not you remembering. That's your body honoring that. It's coming up with that pit in your stomach and your breath slowing down and your heart racing. And it is a memory. But stress is always carried in our body. It's very physical. Your issues live in your tissues. So all that stuff that you have not processed, it shows up as physical symptoms. It gets stuck in there and it doesn't get to move through. So you're there like, okay, peace isn't going to last. I might as well just destroy it now before it destroys me. Overcommitting. This is a big one, especially after you've been able to create some space for yourself, set some boundaries for yourself. And hey, I'm going to make some space for rest, for exercise, for being creative, for joy, for connecting with friends, for nutrition, whatever it is. The next thing you know, your calendar is packed and you have said yes to everything. You're doing service commitments and you're absolutely the go-to person and you're going to do this and you're going to do this. Yes, because stillness and not being busy is so threatening. Because as long as you are busy and doing, guess what you don't have to do? Feel. It's brilliant. It's adaptive. Ooh, I stay doing, staying this. Overthink, overplan, overbusy, do constantly stay. Well, sure. Because if you're not doing that and you're still, you have to face yourself. And that's where you're faced with all the things you were running from in the first place. And it's uncomfortable and it's unfamiliar and it's uncertain. So busyness ends up feeling like worth. It's control, it's love. If I do all of these things for other people at the expense of myself, it's noble. And what ends up happening is that lack of boundaries begins to feel like connection. It begins to feel like closeness because it's this very familiar role to be needed. And it serves something in you that's not authentic because all this is happening at the expense of yourself. Right? So, would you, hey, you want to go to this thing? Yeah, sure. You want to be a good friend and a good partner and a good person, and you are so exhausted and you have given so much of yourself, and all you want to do is like curl up in a fetal position with a lot of emotional eating and some awesome reality show that you just don't have to think about. Yeah, yeah, I'll go. Totally, I'll go. I don't want them to be mad at me. I don't want them to think I'm a bad person. I don't want them to think that I don't love them. And so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Oh, no, I can't go. Well, why not? Well, because my dog died but he didn't just die. He didn't actually die. Like he'll still be here tomorrow, but I have to take him to the vet and I have to make sure that everything is okay. And you come up with this fantastic lie because that feels safer than being honest about saying, you know what? My plate is really full right now. I love you, but I'm saying no to this thing. Because your worth has gotten so intimately tied into whatever you do. So your inherent, your worth, your value that you came with, that you always have, that is so bright and shining and beautiful, has somehow gotten married to whatever you do or don't do. So your behavior ends up being the truth of who you are. And it's not. So what if we reframed all of this? What if we understood that self-sabotage is incredible self-protection because your nervous system is brilliant and adaptable and incredible because you guys have literally survived stuff that kills other people. This is the hardest work you're ever going to do. You are the most creative, resourceful, resilient. Aren't you tired of that word? Aren't you tired of being resilient? Aren't you longing to lean into safety? And so trauma tells you you're lazy and fragile and stupid and worthless. Meanwhile, at the exact same time, you have survived stuff that kills people. So it's always feeling like you're so much, you're too much, you're too much. And at the same time, you're not enough. So you're too much, but you're not enough at the exact same time. So what's your place in this world? Why am I even here? Why am I alive? What is the purpose of this? What is the point of this? I'm in so much roaring pain every day. How do I get out of this? Am I even equipped for this life? What am I doing? I get it. I hear you. I know that kind of pain. And it is a risk. It is a huge risk to show up as your most authentic self because you have no idea how people are going to respond. They might tell you that you're too much or too skinny or too loud or too something, too dramatic, too sensitive, all of that. If you don't take that risk to show up as your most authentic self, your life will continue to be organized by pain and you will feel like you're slowly dying while you're still alive. And that's a pain nobody should know except for the fact that you all know it. So self-sabotage, it's a strategy. It's a very outdated strategy that's using old intel, but this strategy kept you safe for a long time. So the goal isn't to fight it with shame or with criticism or any of that. It's to understand where it came from with compassion. Make sense? With gentleness. Hey, wow, this makes sense. This makes sense that I'm acting this way, that I'm doing this. So here are the questions I would encourage you to ask. What part of me, and it's usually a younger part of you, thinks that it's safer to fail on purpose than to risk trying? because there is a part of you in there who feels that way and is doing everything it can to desperately keep you safe. What's the emotion I'm doing everything I can to avoid right now? And what does it look like to feel that safely? And with whom? What part of me learned this was the safest way to cope? Who taught me to predict this outcome, to expect this outcome? Healing isn't about doing more. I get it. It's like do this and do this and do this. It's actually about doing less, because healing is usually what happens when you stop doing what your younger self had to do to survive. Because when you forgive yourself for all the solutions you made, all the decisions you made when you were in survival mode, you'll realize that anything looks like a solution in survival mode. Anything looks like a way out. You did exactly what you had to do to survive, and survival is never, ever the wrong response, ever. Now, you have to make that shift. How do I go from survival to living? And it's exhausting, and it's uncomfortable, and it's uncertain. And we can't do it in isolation because we always get free together. Recovery needs witnesses. Rewiring needs witnesses. We need people there who can zoom out for us when we're like, oh my God, I did this stupid thing again, and I can't believe I keep doing this. And your person is going to be like, yeah, but do you know how you would have responded a year ago? And you're like, oh, fine, you're right. This is why we need witnesses who can show up when we can't always show up for ourselves. Progress is so rarely visible one snapshot at a time. It's shown over a period of time. But when you're only looking at what just happened, which is what your brain has most access to, it's going to magnify the slumps. And it's going to show you the last mistake, which means that everything is going to be like this. It's going to predict that tomorrow is going to be the same as yesterday because this is how it is. Yeah, that's your survival brain. That's how it works. It's keeping you alive. Doesn't care about happiness. So that younger self, that version of you who is high, who's drunk, who's overworked, who's numbed, who's hustled, who's lied, who's disconnected, who's overthinking, over-explaining, all of that. They weren't sabotaging you. They were saving you. And now you get to thank them. Thank you so much for keeping me alive. And I appreciate you, but that intel is outdated. Now you gently show your body that you're safe enough to try something different and tolerate the discomfort that comes with it. This is never about getting rid of any responses because your body's going to respond whether you want it to or not. I was in the jail the other day and I was with Stacy and there was a leak and we had to step out of the way. The door slammed right behind us. I was like, oh my God. And I just like grabbed her hand and so my body responded the same way it had before. And I honored that. I said, thank you so much for doing your best to protect me. I'm safe here. I'm with Stacy. We're going to the women's pod. It's 2025. We got this. Let's go. And it's like, all right, I'm going to stand down. So it's not about getting rid of it or fixing it. It's about honoring when it comes up because it will. It's not going anywhere. Your body is always there to protect you and making space for it and then giving it new information. Thank you. I got you. I hear you. We're not in danger right now. It feels the same, and I understand that. It's not. And this only works if you're in alignment and your mind and your body are working together. But so often, trauma survivors get incredibly fearful and anxious when we get something we actually want, that we've been praying for, that we've been working for, because all of a sudden it's like, well, good things don't last. And what it usually is good things get taken away. Or you're going to pay for that good thing happening. Don't think you're going to get that free and easy. Because you got to earn that. And more than anything, we want a safe relationship we don't have to earn, with no strings, where we can show up as our most authentic, messy, beautiful self and be loved for her or him, right? So here's the last piece of this. I keep like a list of phrases that I just do not love at all. And one of them is you're your own worst enemy. Okay, let me just break this down. That's not a thing. You cannot possibly be your own worst enemy because you're you. So by very nature, your body doesn't work against you. It's not capable of doing that any more than it's really capable of sabotaging you. These are wired responses that were learned and lived, but your body isn't your enemy. You're not your enemy. You're a scared, hurt little kid who didn't learn how to get his or her needs met. And so you've always been your own protector at any cost. And so much of that inner critic is what you've already heard told to you. So let me I wish that I used to have a bumper sticker on my car and it said, be the person your dog thinks you are. And anybody who has a dog will know that your dog loves you more than pretty much anything, whether you take the trash out or you're gone for a week. And he is always so happy and the tail is wagging and he's so excited and he pees and he spins around and it's like, oh my gosh. Okay, that's how I see you. And I want that for you. And my request is that you stay. When everything in you tells you to leave, I'm asking you to stay because you're worth saving, because you're worth loving. And I will ask for you to grieve over what you were taught love was. And so know that this is my privilege and my honor to be invited into your life and your story. And I do not take that lightly. And I hold that with both hands. And I am beyond grateful to be able to have survived what I did and channeled that survival into living and to be able to share that with each of you and with all of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kat. You are absolutely amazing. I was like over here to
Ditto.
cry and get emotional.
Aw,
But
Taylor.
there
Love
were a lot of those things that resonated with me. If anybody has any questions or comments for Kat, feel free to come off of mute, put them in the chat box. I am dropping a link in the chat box to a quick feedback survey that I'll share with Kat afterwards, and it just helps us to improve our programs. There's a little spot for feedback on that end of the survey. It's just 5 short questions. So it would be really helpful if you guys could fill that out, but I'll give the floor to you all if you guys have anything else to share. And I'm going to actually turn off the recording right now as well.